Good afternoon, class. For this afternoon, we will be having again our asynchronous class for Practical Research 1, which is qualitative research. So, how are you all doing in terms of crafting your topic, your main topics, and your working titles? So, I do hope that all of you, you already have your working titles. But for those who doesn't have yet, please feel free to message me so I can render my comments and suggestions to you. So majority of you, I think, have already your working titles, plus of course the qualitative research design, uh, whether it's a case study, phenomenological, ethnography, or grounded theory. So very exciting. And for this afternoon, again, we will go deeper in terms of slowly trying to configure your chapter one. So we'll be able to share my screen right now. Okay, so we will be talking about the principles of qualitative research, or now you are now going to be able to design your very own study. So we'll talk about what qualitative research is, a review. In our discussion, we said that when you talk about qualitative research, you talk about it as something as descriptive. You describe, you make use of your five senses as to the taste of us, the sense of sight, the sense of taste, the sense of touch, okay, and the other senses that you will be able to use. So that's very clear. Now, some of the research titles that some of you, what you did was you gave research titles. Now, when you do research, you don't start immediately with the title. We work first with the topics. Now, a precaution to all of you. Now, don't think about yet your participants and your location because you're just starting to do your research. Some of you are actually worrying about your participants' location and the face-to-face interview. Eh, wala pa naman tayo doon. Okay? We are just starting your topics, your working title, and the beginning of chapter 1. Wala pa po tayo sa chapter 3. So please don't get excited. Don't worry too much. Eh matagal pa 'yun. Okay, that's still chapter 3. And please focus. Okay, focus on your paper. I will be here to help you with your topics and your working titles and all the things that you need in working out your research. So, in the working titles pa lang, you'll be able to notice that, you know, kung quali or quantitative yan. Again, if it's quantitative, in the title itself, you'll be able to notice that uh, it's quantifiable. Okay? You are able to measure it. For example, you talk about titles such as the effectiveness, okay, of something. The effectiveness itself is how are you going to be able to determine the effectiveness? Of course, you have to be able to measure it using uh, using quantifiable statistical tools or measurements. Okay, we will talk about the types of problems that are best suited for a qualitative research, and this is very important: how to write your qualitative purpose statement and the research questions. So prior to your creation of your introduction, I think I made mention of this one. You have your, let me just write that down to be clear. In your, kasi yung introduction natin, so you have your introduction, which I think some of you did already, pero babalikan natin yan. So in your introduction, you have your context, okay? You have your context, which is superficial information of your study, which you are able to get, or you will be getting it from your review of related literature or your references. So superficial lang to. Number two, again, this is your content. Your content in your introduction would be ito yung deeper explanation of your study, which you are able to get it from your references. Number three, contrast. Inuulit ko to sa inyo because this is very important. Now, in the contrast, there are a few authors who would have unique, statements or unique studies that is very important to your study. So you have to be able to put here, okay, what is that contrasting idea that would be very relevant to your study. Now, the context, content, and contrast, you have to be able to cite, you have, you have to be able to cite, or there should be citation, okay, citation here. So for example, according to Lopez, H, 2019, she said that uh, when she said that senior high school students are oftentimes vulnerable to disciplinary, let's say, um, sanctions. Okay, so isa-cite niya, but we'll be able to teach you later on how to do APA. So papasadahan natin yung APA. So again, yung tatlo, that should have citations. Okay, and the fourth one, this is the aim and the purpose. The aim of the study and the purpose. So yung gagawin ninyo for today is the purpose. You will be doing your purpose. Isa-isahin natin yan. And later on, your research questions. Okay? Yeah. Importante yan, yung research questions ang gagawin ninyo. Okay? So, let me just erase this one. And we will talk about the tradition or the type of qualitative purpose statement, and again the research questions. What types of qualitative data so how do you collect data collection? Itong analyzing na to and data analysis, we'll talk about that later on with chapter 3. So again, what is qualitative research? So this would be a review. It's an inquiry approach in which the inquirer, that is you as a researcher, to try to explore a central phenomenon. Okay? You think about one key concept. You ask participants broad and general questions. Okay? And sometimes, yung mga topics and the working titles, some of you gave broad titles which I've asked to change. Okay? Anyway, those are just working titles and that can still be changed. And in a qualitative research design, collects detailed view of participants in form of words or images. That's very important. Now, you try to analyze and you code the data for description and themes. So yung mga nakolekta ninyo again in your interview and the answers of your participants, okay, you have to be able to code them. Okay? Ano-ano yung mga para-parehas na sinabi nila, yung mga unique na sinabi nila, you have to be able to come up with codes. So you can use later on colors to be able to identify kung ano yung mga words na yun na halos pare-pareho or the same. And from the codes itself, okay, you will be grouping them later on. Okay, you'll be arranging it and hopefully be able to put them into proper perspectives in terms of creation themes. So maraming codes yan. Kunyari, yung mga codes sa blue, yun yung makapareho, gugrupo mo yan. Then group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and be able to see it as a whole. Itong blue na to, itong codes na to, ito yung theme. Okay? And you interpret the meaning of the information, drawing on personal reflections and past research. So the answer to your research questions, you can actually get it from your participants and past research. And that's why you have your literature. And you have to write the final report that would includes personal biases and a flexible structure. So mamaya, not mamaya, but later on, we'll be able to ask you, may mga biases pa dyan sa research mo. Okay, the panelists might ask, why did you conduct such study? For example, I will just get one working title from the class. Let's say, the live experiences of uh, patients who are undergoing chemotherapy. Okay? Maybe you're doing the research because you yourself, okay, you had experience of a family member who had undergone chemotherapy. Okay? So meron ka na dong biases, but you have to be able to explain later on how are you going to be able to limit your so-called biases. Now, what do we need to keep in mind when designing a qualitative study? We have to focus on the process as well as the outcomes. Importante yun. Kaya nga, step by step tayo. We don't jump immediately with, your titles. Okay? Although some of you, nagta-title ka agad, that's not the proper way. We go with the topics. We'll be able to see in the topics, ano ba yung mga issues doon, may mga problems ba, latest developments, okay, concerns, that you can actually come up later on with very good working titles. So, uh, let the design emerge. Mag-emerge later on yan. Okay, as you go along with your research, use the inductive reasoning and develop a complex picture of the phenomena. So, studying many ideas with few participants and sites. Because in a qualitative research, you only have very few participants. Diba sabi ko nga, according to Creswell, in a case study, normally 6 to 10, but that will depend. Unlike quantitative, you have talaga a sample size, let's say participants of 100 plus. Yeah, may ganong requirement. So you discuss the context of the phenomena, ano ba nangyayari doon? And we will still be using the scientific method. The problem, the questions, the methods, and the results. So let's start your research. Ayan na. So let's get it on in terms of doing your research. So what are the possible topics for your research? I think you did this already. So you must accomplish your activity number 1 in terms of selecting your topic. Dapat kompleto na to, approved na to. With your main topic, you have to look for references. So 10, 10 ba to? I think 8, no? 8 or 10 references. You have to read the abstract, okay, if it's related to your topic, and list down your top 3 and your top choice. And later on, you have to write your research title, or you have to formulate the research title. I think some of you, or majority of you, I have already given your working title, so you're going to work backwards. Okay, meron na kayong working title, but your top choice in terms of the references title, top 3, 1, 2, 3, and the rest that you have selected. So formulate your working title based on tip number 3, writing your research title, and a brief introduction. Okay. So we will now proceed with your activity number 4. So umpisahan nyo na to. Okay. I might or might not be able to upload this yet in your Brightspace, but you already have to be able to take note of this, that this would be your activity number 4. So how to start with the research title and a research problem. Title, okay na yan. So yung problem na lang. So you have to identify the area or topic for the study. So ano ba yung topic mo ulit? Tatanungin ko yan. Your working title. Okay, specify the research problem. Okay, the practical issue that leads to a need for your study. So you have to complete the sentences. You can either choose. Okay, so we are doing already yung purpose statement ninyo. Let's say, the topic for the study will be, kompletuhin niyo yan, ha? I'm so sorry, kanina sinabi ko either, but you will be doing the same. The topic for the study will be, okay, and this study needs to be conducted because, so you give me at least 3 reasons on why you need to be able to conduct the study. Okay? Let's write down your research title again and the research problem leading to your study. Now, we will write a good qualitative purpose statement. What it includes should be the following. So, it could be a single sentence or probably one paragraph in terms of your purpose statement. So, lalagay nyo muna doon, the purpose of this study uh, is to, Okay, kunyari, sulat natin. The purpose of this study is to, ano, the purpose of this study is to, kunyari, you be able to put there number one, uh, let's say, understand, blah, 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 blah. Okay, understand the ano. Number two, okay, let's say, um, explore, okay, explore the ano. And number three, okay, let's say, identify. Normally, normally, ganyan niya. The purpose of this study is to understand, ano, understand what? The lived experiences, ganyan. Explore what? And identify what? So, that's the first part of it. Okay. And then, uh, again, you have to use qualitative words such as explore, understand, discover, and your participants and your research site. So understand the central phenomena. Okay, qualitative research, you have independent variable and your dependent variable, your X and your Y. While for qualitative research, you have your central phenomena. Okay, sinabi ko sa inyo noon, di ba, yung you have to understand your variable for quantitative research, where for qualitative research, hindi siya variable, but you're calling it, let's say, categories, okay, or concepts. So let's stay away from quantitative language that might mislead the readers. For example, do not include in your statement a comparison between GAN. Very obvious naman, it's quantitative. Okay, comparative, quantitative yung gagamitin nyo doon. You don't relate it with variables. Okay, not proving hypothesis kasi hindi nyo naman gagawin yan. And you're not measuring the variables. Okay, yung X or yung Y na binigay previously. Now, here's a script for a good qualitative purpose statement na gagawin ninyo. So, lalagay nyo dyan, the purpose of this qualitative study. Okay, so you replace the latter with a type of qualitative tradition, meaning the purpose of this, kunyari, case study ka, the purpose of this qualitative case study, okay, will be yung, yung sinabi ko sa inyo. Okay, will be ganyan, 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 to understand, describe, develop. Okay, okay. Then the central focus will be the lived experiences of, let's say, patients who have undergone chemotherapy. Okay? Four, sino yung person na yun? Yung process groups at saan? In the Philippines, in St. Patrick's School of Quezon City. Okay? So writing a good research questions, uh, gagawin muna natin dalawa muna. Okay? So dalawa muna yung research questions ninyo. Okay? So we have your uh, we have your main research question and your sub research question. So, dalawa yung gagawin, okay? Or the central question and your sub question. So, the most general question you could ask and sub questions would divide the central questions into more specific topics questions or limited number. So, how to use good qualitative wording for this question. So, you begin words such as how or what. Okay, again, you will be using how or what in terms of your research questions. Okay, research questions. So dalawa lang muna, research question. Your central and your sub. Okay, so tell the reader what you are attempting to discover. Okay, and you ask what happened or to describe or what was the meaning to people of what had happened to understand and what happened over time to explore a process. So avoid words such as relate, influence, impact, effect, and cause. Kasi more of quantitative yan. So scripts to help design qualitative central questions, sub-questions. So your main questions, what does it mean? What does it mean to, um, what does it mean? For example, I'm thinking about a topic on mental health of senior high school students in St. Patrick's School of Quezon City. Let's say ang title mo is the lived let's say a case study of a case study of the mental health example lang to, mental health status of senior high school students in uh, St. Patrick's School. You have to complete this one. In St. Patrick School of Quezon City. Kunyari yan, a case study, okay, of the mental health status of senior high school in St. Patrick's School of Quezon City. So, what does it mean? Let's say, how do or kunyari, how do students in St. Patrick's School of Quezon City, how do students uh, how do students in St. Patrick's School of Quezon City um, perceive, example lang perceive mental health. Example lang Ang because your topic is about mental health and your working title is a case study of the mental health status of uh, the mental health status among senior high school students in St. Patrick's School. So I'm using the how. So how do students in St. Patrick's School of Quezon City perceive mental health issues? But this can change, So this could be my main research questions. Tapos, ano pa ba yung gusto mong itanong? So you can have here your second research question. Okay, so dalawa lang muna tayo ngayon, And write a purpose statement. Okay, so I do hope you will now be able to put your purpose statement. Okay, gawin nyo na yung purpose statement mo. The purpose of this uh, qualitative case study, okay, is to, ano yung tatlo? Okay? And the rest, you'll be able to do that. Okay? And what are the qualitative traditions? Again, I'm going to repeat phenomenology, ethnography, grounded theory, and case study. So this is somewhat a summary of the qualitative traditions, but we will be discussing this thoroughly later on. So you're talking about here, let's say, phenomenology, grounded ethnography, and case study. Okay? We will not be doing narrative kasi hindi yan common. So we'll be doing only the four, uh, yung four, how should I say this one? Popular, okay, qualitative traditions. So in a case study, so the focus is developing an in-depth analysis of a single case or multiple case. Pag single case, meaning you're focusing on just one organization, okay, or one institution, or one industry. Pag multiple case, ano yan, different companies, organizations, okay? So multiple case. Tapos, ang iyong ethnography, ang focus niya naman describing and interpreting a culture or social group. Okay? Kunyari, let's say you're focusing on uh, certain traditions of our indigenous kababayans, the Aitas or the Mangyans. Grounded theory, you are developing a theory grounded from data in the field. Medyo mahirap tong grounded na to, so I'm not recommending this one. And phenomenology, understanding the essence of experiences about a phenomena. Kunyari, let's say, um, the lived understanding, kunyari, understanding the idea, understanding Mobile Legend as let's say uh, as a popular pastime or uh, games being played by uh, senior high school students in St. Patrick's of Quezon City. So you see here the data collection for feminology, long interviews within up to 10 people. Ang grounded 20 to 30 but you can have one or two. Sa ethnography, depende to doon sa ethnic group nito. Yung leader lang ba, yung mga sub-members. But normally, you have to stay here. Ito nakalagay 6 months, 3 to 6 months. And a case study, you can have multiple sources or you can have, pwede rin naman dito 6 to 10. So you have the data analysis in feminology. You get the statements, the meanings, meaning themes, and general description of the experience. For grounded theory, open coding, actual coding, selective coding, conditional matrix, which we're going to discuss later on pag nag-chapter 3 na tayo. Ethnography, description, analysis, interpretation, and case study, description, themes, and assertions. So for the form, the narrative form, description of the essence of the experience or phenomenology, for grounded theory of theoretical model, ethnography, description of the culture behavior of a group of an individual, and the case study is in-depth study of a case or cases. So this would somewhat summarize the qualitative traditions, but we will further discuss this when we reach chapter 3. So what criteria will be used to select a tradition? So the focus, your audience, the personal trainings that you have, and your comfort in terms of how you're going to be able to do this one. So now let's select a tradition for our study, or your study. I think majority of you, alam nyo na kung case study kayo, phenomenology, okay? And you have to be able to do your basic, research. So, hanap, tignan nyo, ano ba tong case study na to, mga examples niyan, para you get to be familiar. I-google nyo lang, Google Scholar, and put there, for example, let's say, qualitative case study, or qualitative case study, or examples of feminology, okay, researches, or ethnography. So within this tradition, what data will collect? So who will be studied and what information will be collected, which will be talked about later on in chapter 3. So as we end this discussion, so you are going to be able to do muna your purpose statement and your research questions. I need 2 research questions. How or what your main and your sub research question and the purpose statement. Okay? I might be able to ask you to do this today. Kung hindi naman, hindi nakita sa bright space, you'll be able to do this one in our next meeting. So I guess that's it for our asynchronous meeting for today. Continue to work on your working titles and this particular activity. So thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.